Good morning everyone, I'm that dude over there, and today we return to completing Fire Emblem games with 5 units. We'll be looking into the sequel of Shadow Dragon, New Mystery of the Emblem, and you can tell it's a remake by the new in the title. I hope you enjoy as I sink into a new game with new problems, and if you like what you see, please like and subscribe as it helps idiots like me who suck at promoting videos. Alright, unit discussion time. Since New Mystery is a sequel to Shadow Dragon, I decided that we'll only be using the units that we used from Shadow Dragon in order to clear the game. It would make the most sense since they're all playable in this game and survived the previous war. However, I can't do that since the earliest we get one of these guys in the game is like Prologue 4. Yeah, that's a lot, and so instead we need to take one of these 5 units off the team in order to put me in the roster. That's right. I'm in the game. I get to join the battle with my best friend. Actually, I can't say that because Marth's canonical best friend is Lear. But I will be his human pack mule as I carry him to victory. But who would it take off? I guess Lena. Since I can become any class, I could start out as a mage and early promote to a healer. And since there is an early Master Seal later on, it should be no sweat. Prologue. Okay, so since I don't want to bore you with my life story, I will break down the 7 to 8 prologues here as best as I can. So basically, like any good anime filler, there is an event where the Kingdom of Altea is accepting new recruits to build up its ranks, and me being the person I am, I attend and meet a mage girl named Katarina. She's purple and an introvert. Anyway, the biggest struggle in the early game is no healer and limited tome uses. Magic is pretty limited compared to the other weapons you can use. But I'll be fine when I get the chance to promote. So, we meet many new faces, kill many new faces, and reach Prologue 8, where it turns out that everyone's favorite introvert is actually an assassin meant to kill the main lord. Now, we can't have this happening, and because of my high resistance, we can tank the magic attacks and approach Katarina. However, she decides that she cannot die here, unlike our other allies, and proceeds to bow out before suffering a serious injury. Chapter 1. So it turns out that people who die in the prologue don't actually end up dying, so we work to remedy that fact. I contemplate whether or not to become a healer. I want to go through with it, but when I learn I lose 2 magic for doing so, I decide to stay just as I am. Also, for a mage, I'm really strong. Not magically, but physically. I have 1 more point in strength than I do magic, and this is really concerning to me since I tried to build this to be a mage build and not a cavalier build. Anyway, our foe is General Lawrence, who survived in Shadow Dragon by dying, only to speedrun life now to protect the future king and queen of Grust. Little does he know that this sacrifice will be in vain as they both will die to my hands. Chapter 2. In Chapter 2, we face off against General Rommel, and similar to Shadow Dragon, when we lose a shit ton of guys, the game awards us with generic units. So, as we do, we trudge our way through the map and send all of them to their deaths by having them face General Rommel weaponless. Our lack of healer is really biting us in the ass here as we suffer small injuries that build up over time. We're lucky to have vulneraries now, but if I can't promote soon, we'll be sitting ducks. Chapter 3. Before I discuss this chapter, let me quickly explain something. Like with Binding Blade, that we haven't played yet, New Mystery has an alternate ending depending on a certain condition. For us, if we don't get this ending, it counts as losing, so starting now, I have to collect all 12 star shards and the other spheres to win the run. And in this chapter, we get it by killing Ruck. Lynn decides to join us, then proceeds to die. She gives us Aura and Nosferatu, but no one can use it because Sheeta and Minerva aren't becoming mages. But speaking of Minerva, one of her White Wings join us this chapter, and we use this time to kill her off. Chapter 3 reintroduces the ballistas, which is slightly annoying, but there is a Master Seal in this chapter. Thank God. However, I can't access it. It's held by stationary Draco Knights in the mountains, meaning I have to wait some more chapters before I can promote. Shit. Chapter 4. In Chapter 4, we compete with two thieves trying to destroy two villages in different corners of the map. And while we do that, Ogma, Yubelo, and Yumina are to wait for their deaths to the barrage of archers and axe fighters to kill them. At this point, I am too squishy as a mage to be useful to Marth. So we reclass into a cav unit to provide some sort of use to the Altean King. With this transformation, our strength rises dramatically alongside our move. Thanks to this buff, we're able to reach the second village where it's revealed that Caster survived. I mean, not for long, but... Chapter 5. Finally, a chapter where we get a Master Seal, another usable unit in Sheeta, and a Star Shard to collect. Awesome. Anyway, we also unlock the FE4 Arena if the FE4 Arena was cringe and not based. We spend a short amount of time leveling myself up before rampaging into the next map. I don't need a running gag here to litter the video. So George has Parthia, which we don't need because I'm not using archers. But that being said, I do need to kill George because I want him dead. So after promoting into a paladin, me and Sheeta destroy George, get Parthia, and seize the map. Chapter 6. I am so glad I promoted last map, cause this one is a bit of a doozy. A ton of reinforcements with 2 more star shards I need to collect, and a map with a door. Yeah, this is where not having a thief as a unit is going to bite me in the ass. Going forward, I'll need to be on the lookout for door keys. It would actually be bad if I get softlocked due to this. Fuck you, Thracia. But yeah, we rout the enemy, kill off Samto, and seize the throne. Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is a really tough chapter. There are several thieves holding some incredible items, one of which being a star shard. I'm not worried about Navarre or Fina dying since I couldn't care less, but missing the star shard is a fate worse than death. That's not even including Mr. Mercenary in the corner, who will pursue us if we take too long. Deciding that a good offense is a good defense, I reclass myself into a Draco Knight to help Sheeta scalp the thieves. And because I have like 2 more moves than Sheeta, I could do it a lot better. So we kill off everyone, minus Sheeta, Marth, and I, and seize the map when I find out I can't kill Astrom. Damn it. Chapter 8. In Chapter 8, previous ally who didn't die in the last war, Hardin, shows up looking like a generic bad guy. He wants Marth dead, and as much as I would like to try to kill him, I can't. Hardin is holding the Dark Sphere, which is basically Mhulu if Mhulu wasn't a weapon. Astrom plans to attack us from behind, so we use our generics plus Bantu and Kane to be our meat shield while the rest of us get Sagittarius. After scurrying around the map, we seize the castle and move on. Chapter 9. We arrive in the desert chapter where we have a character to recruit, a star shard to find, and a thief to get rid of. Man, this is starting to sound repetitive. Unfortunately, Etzel and his sweet monocle cannot join us. But that being said, Minerva rejoins our trio to help slaughter foes with her high movement. That is, if Marth could ever reach the village across the sands. We get the thief staff, which we can't use yet, and a vulnerary from killing Etzel. We also secure the Virgo and Capricorn shards thanks to Marth and the Fire Emblem. After a certain amount of time, Astrom decides to return to kill us off once and for all. However, what he doesn't know is that this is exactly what I wanted. Not him killing us, but... Listen, I charge at him and land a critical hit before Marth seizes a castle, okay? Chapter 10. Now, Chapter 10 takes place at Hogwarts, as we watch Merrick have a wizard duel against his rival Elrin. Merrick is our final character we obtain for the run, and we need to be really careful when saving him. He's surrounded by non-wizards, and his defense is pretty poor. I reclassed myself back into a sage so I can heal our allies while they battle. I also did this so that way we can open the chest in the back with a thief staff. We have to reset this chapter when I realize that Elrin isn't stationary and kills Merrick with Thoron. But my second attempt, we're able to kill Elrond by baiting him away from the throne and killing him next turn. With Merrick safe, we're able to progress through the map casually with no other resets. Chapter 10X. So Gaiden works to build on my storyline with Katarina. Basically, their story involves an evil religious woman who treats her adoptees as trash. We're not going to get many of these since the Gaiden requirements need people alive, and we can't have that on Marth's new rampage through the continent. But because we didn't route the clerics last chapter, we get this one where we have to kill the real boss. I say real because every enemy looks exactly like the boss, all the way down to the portrait. If we don't find him quickly, we'll be swarmed by berserkers who get stronger with each one knocked down. Thankfully, we do beat it, and at the end of the chapter, Yagan asks if I want to wear a mask like these guys. And considering that I haven't had anything to do for the last half hour, I decide that yes, I would like a mask. Chapter 11. In Chapter 11, we get surrounded by dragons, but not normal dragons, sky dragons. These are the Pegasus Knights of dragons. They have high move and can hit pretty hard. But I don't care about this since this chapter has the first of few Elysian whips in the game. It's an exclusive promotion item to Pegasi Knights, to turn them into Falcon Knights. I've been waiting all playthrough for this map to finally promote Sheeta. And while we do suffer some resets because of the dragons, we get the whip, get a master sword, and cease to clear. Chapter 12. In Chapter 12, we travel to Mustafar to fight the fire dragons on their homeland. We collect the final star shard and have to wait another 2 chapters before I can properly merge them into the star sphere. Daros doesn't recruit himself, unlike Shadow Dragon, but he does pose to be a pain in my side until I kill him. We finally promote Merrick into a sage, giving us a second healer. We seize the throne after Merrick snipes a dragon and obtain a Master Seal, which we sell. Chapter 13. If it wasn't clear yet, we are traveling through all the dragon's homelands, which means we have to travel through Superman's frozen fortress to fight off ice dragons. We decide to split up our team to kill off the thieves on this map. Sheeta and I are too strong to be overpowered by random generics, but the same can't be said by the dragons. The dragons still deal a ton of damage to our units, so it's best to not try and Fire Emblem engage them all at once. Inside the chest, we find some dragon effective items, which we try our best to save for later. I promise that while I should use them now, they will be much useful later. Chapter 13X. In the Gaiden chapter, we have a Fog of War map, and since our time in Thracia, Fog of War feels much more bearable. Seriously, Thracia Fog of War gave me PTSD. Anyway, with such a small map, I assumed there would be a hidden archer, so I switched classes into a paladin. That way, I still have my high move while not suffering from ballista. The boss of this chapter is Clarice, I think, and she's just conniving antagonist. So, we route the map and move on to Chapter 14. Finally, we can restore the star shards into the star sphere. With the star sphere, it gives the holder +2 in all their stats. This chapter is famous for showing up in the DLC in the critically acclaimed title, Fire Emblem Engage, where you have to clear the map to get the Tiki bracelet. Oh yeah, Zane also shows up this chapter. He's killed by his kind for working with Marth in the Fire Emblem. Tiki shows up in this chapter as a foe, but she's stationary. And despite her death in Shadow Dragon, I don't have the heart to kill this kid, alright? Especially in the Tundra. This would be different if it were like Amelia, roll for Cyril, because they join and don't contribute a lot. But I actually learned of Tiki's story, and I can't pull the trigger. Thankfully, you don't have to kill her to proceed, so Tiki remains as the only character to survive unrecruited. Be lucky. Chapter 15. Hey, this map looks familiar! Yeah, so we recruit S this chapter, but S's name isn't Minerva or Sheeta, so she has to die. This is one of the few maps where you can arena grind without consequence of dying to a tough foe. So we do. We don't unlock everyone's full potential since everyone is pretty stacked as is. Overall, this map doesn't have much else to say since we covered it the last time. Hopefully there's something more to say about next chapter, right? Chapter 16. Did you know this chapter appeared in the hit game? No. I already made that joke. In this chapter, we create a choke point hoping to get characters killed off, and give them some shitty unusable weapons to clear up the convoy. Unfortunately, this plan fails as it just gets returned to the convoy, but the message is pretty clear. Our convoy is full and we need to get rid of some weapons for next chapter. Chapter 16X. This is the penultimate chapter of my storyline, and because of actions that occur later, it's also the last chapter of my storyline. Katarina is sent to kill us here and now, and I have a choice to recruit her. If I talk to her 3 times, she will stop trying to kill us and instead join us in our stand against Medius and Garneth. However, Katarina has tried to kill us at this point like 3 different times, and has threatened the life of my Lord Marth. Such treasonous acts cannot be forgiven, and in an act of mercy, I kill her for my lord. Now, let's proceed to the 3rd act. Chapter 17. So we explored this chapter before, but in New Mystery, this chapter has a fun gimmick. So we recruit Samson and Sheena this chapter. However, in order to do so, we have to avoid killing their people. They're easy to identify as they're all unpromoted units that won't attack you. Meanwhile, an actual horde of foes will try to assault your army. The purpose of this is to confuse you by questioning who's friend and who's foe, but again, all the units you shouldn't hit are unpromoted, so they are easy to avoid. So after carefully navigating the map, avoiding all the soldiers of Grust, we make our way to the throne room and kill Samson and Sheena. Why partake in this chapter just to kill them? Well, this way Grust won't think twice about standing up to us ever again. We leave the nation in shambles and lead the way for Marth the Conqueror. Chapter 18. So in this chapter, Hardin sends his Wolfguard to kill us. But these guys will flee when Marth picks up the light sphere from the village in the west. With the amount of units we need to kill off, we have just enough time to get there. After a reset. What can I say? I wanted to kill off the Wolfguard, and I thought I could take him with a Javelin, Eye-Out Shield, and Star Sphere. On attempt 2, I was much more successful since they were too busy running away to fight. And after using a rapier to kill the boss, we seize and clear the map. Chapter 19. I totally didn't confuse this map for another map when scripting this chapter. Nope, definitely not me. This chapter we can permanently get rid of the Wolfguard, once and for all. We storm the castle that Hardin resides in. There are a bunch of ballista and mounted archers on this chapter, and because I didn't reclass, it was up to Marth to solo this chapter. Sorry Merrick, you are way too squishy to deal with these guys, unlike Marth. You know, for a chapter called The Final Battle, it's not the final battle whatsoever. We still have Hardin, Garneth, and Medius to take care of. And, of course, with that being said. Chapter 20. Now, we can finally kill Hardin, but only if we hold the light sphere. This caused me a reset, since I confused the light sphere with the life spear. I know, super hard to get confused. Anyway, it's the more useful of the two since it passively heals you 20 HP every turn, and our plan is to take Hardin out with Sheeta, holding the refined wing spear, dubbed Gun. She would also hold Life, Sphere, and Eye-Out Shield, and the Star Sphere, just to ensure her safety. Hardin dies and gives up the Evil Sphere, and the Fire Emblem is reborn into the Binding Shield. It's racist to all of Medius' kind, and gives Marth +2 on all his stats. Overall, it's a downgrade from all the orbs on their own, but for compensation's sake, it'll do. Chapter 21. In this chapter, Michaelis survives death twice, and as reward, he will not die this conquest either. I mean, I really try to get him killed, but he just manages to avoid death at every turn, so fuck me, I guess. This map has a bunch of sky dragons who want to kill us, so that's fun. At the end of the chapter, I think Ymir survived and wants to give me a reward for keeping him alive, with some weird animal skin. And you know what I think? Despite what Lord Marth or anyone else thinks, I look fabulous. Chapter 22. Chapter 22 reminds me of that one Valentia chapter where you have to get to the end of the hallway through narrow corridors. You know the one with the bonites? It's just kind of boring on its own. But that being said, we get Nagi this chapter to kill off, and IRL, this chapter was also the chapter where I was watching episode 4 of Hazman Hotel. Everyone knows where they were when Angel Dust got bitch slapped by Valentino and sang Poison. Chapter 23. Garnet returns! And he's somehow got his hands on the falchion again. Seriously, Marth, you need to start carrying that thing around on a leash. Anyway, like before, Garnet can only be killed by Starlight, and thankfully I didn't miss it. If I did, I would have been so sad. Before starting the chapter, I forged myself an enhanced Brave Lance, dubbed That Spear, for the last map. I mean, Sheeta has a gun, Marth will have Falchion, Merrick has Starlight, and Minerva has... Actually, I may have to do something about that. This map isn't that hard, but Garnet can be dangerous if we face him directly. But we managed to kill him with Merrick and seize the map. Endgame. Light and Shadow. Reaching the final floor, we come across Medius, who has evolved into the Fell Dragon. I mean, the Shadow Dragon. Lena reveals that when she was booted off the team, it was the greatest dishonor she had received. So, she began this whole conflict, telling Nina that the Dark Sphere would guarantee Hardin would switch places for her beloved. Elise, that Marth would kill people unprompted to show off his status. And Maria, that Minerva was in defeat. All in an attempt to build an army to take down our 5 units. And she also revived the Shadow Dragon to make sure that her plan succeeded. However, Lena miscalculated. She hadn't planned on a self-insert aiding Marth, and this self-insert was a Draco Knight. So after Merrick destroys Lena with his refined Thoron Tome, dubbed Better Gun, he then proceeds to fire one last bolt of lightning at Medius, giving us the victory and saving all of Arcanea once again. New Mystery is definitely a step up gameplay-wise compared to Shadow Dragon. But that being said, I think Marth's adventure is probably the most boring of the bunch. Like, no shade thrown to the Smash Bros icon, but reviewing the footage almost put me to sleep. It definitely got me to focus on the game since I had to ensure I collected everything for the true ending, but after I had got everything, I just fell asleep behind the wheel. But that's just my opinion, and if you think I'm wrong and Marth's story is actually super based and interesting, let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, leave a like and subscribe, as it really helps idiots like me who suck at promoting videos. But until next time, stay safe out there.